This is the EDAR, a 1 to 8 power first focal plane optic with a feature most LPVOs don't have, a parallax focus. And if that wasn't interesting enough, watch until the end of this video and I'll tell you how you can win one. So, let's take a closer look. Let's start by unboxing this thing, but don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with tedious unpacking footage. Instead, let's take a look at what you get in the box. This is the new Discovery Optics EDAR 1 to 8 power LPVO. And let's just take a closer look at this. It has 6 levels of illumination, and your illumination turret sits atop a much thicker parallax focus. Oh, what? What? Yes, it has a parallax focus. You never find that in LPVOs. This is a 1 to 8 general purpose LPVO that has a parallax focus that goes down all the way to 5 yards. You never find that in any scope, really, that goes down to 5 yards. The fact that this is on an LPVO is a game changer. Now let's take a look at these turrets here. These are locking, pull to unlock, or pull up to unlock. Pretty loud, tactile positive, no slop. That's nice. And they are user resettable to 0. You just use a coin, and it does come with a little plastic tool, but you can just use a coin. And it is 0.1 mrad per click. This is a mil scope with a mil reticle. And let's check out the windage. Again, it locks, pull to unlock. Nice. No slop. So these are nice turrets. And also user resettable. And let's check out our magnification ring. Not super smooth, but not overly gritty. And a fair bit of resistance to, which, you know, it could be a great thing because you don't want to change your magnification to change. And this is a first focal plane LPVO, so that could also affect your reticle if it changes accidentally. It comes with a screw-in throw lever, and given the amount of resistance, amount of torque I'm putting with my fingers, I probably recommend that, but, you know, again, whatever you prefer. Let's check out this diopter. Oh, pretty smooth. Actually, it's gotten, when I first got this out of the box and just did a quick check on it, this was super, super stiff, but I think the lubrications loosened up a bit, so this is not bad. So yeah, we're gonna mount this sucker up and we'll give it a test next. Before we get into the test, I'd like to take a quick break here and talk about this episode's sponsor, Aura. For the price of a typical VPN, not only am I getting VPN service, but I'm getting spam blockers, junk mail blockers, fraud alerts, scam alerts, and credit monitoring. Try it out yourself for free. Go to aura.com/moondog and sign up for a 14-day free trial. No commitments. You know, identity fraud is a real thing, and with AI, it's all too easy to spoof your identity. That's why you should try out Aura. All right, let's get back to the tests. We're looking through the scope at 1 power to get our best overall view through the glass. And my first impressions are this is really sharp and clear. Now I'm looking for any distortions or fisheye, as all LPVOs have it to a greater or lesser degree, but this is pretty good. Now I do notice a little bit of position shift with the teal car as I bring it in and out of the scope view. It looks a little bit, it's just a hair lower inside of the scope than it is in the real world. But if I look at the telephone pole there on the right side, even at the very right edge of the scope image, it is pretty straight and flat. So that's pretty good. Now let me lock this off at a distant object, and let's take a look at the magnification here. Let me adjust the parallax to infinity, and we're going to bring up our magnification halfway to 4 power. And that is pretty darn clear and bright. And good color fidelity and saturation. Now let's bring this all the way up to its maximum of 8 power. And that is still pretty darn good. Now I can clearly make out the trail marker sign at the top of the hill there. That is about an 8-foot tall pole with a 3-foot steel sign atop it, which is a good proxy for an IPSC target at this distance of 1,400 yards. Over to a darkened tree nearby, and let's take a look at the reticle illumination, because with a dark and cluttered background like this, you definitely do need it. Let me adjust the parallax to 15 yards, and let's bring up our illumination to 6, and that's clearly visible. You can see that horseshoe of death. But let's see, if we bring it down to a sunlit surface, direct sunlight, can we still see it? Yeah, but let's see if can you still see it at 1 power. And no, not so much. I'm going to say this is not daylight bright. It's more typical bright for an LPVO. We're looking through the EDAR at its lowest power of 1 at our reference target's downrange at 100 yards. And let's bring this up about halfway into 4 power. Now let's bring it all the way up to its maximum of 8 power. That is pretty darn clear. So let's check our range of adjustments at this point. Let's see how far it'll go in terms of its elevation. Okay, there's the top. Quite a bit. And that's the bottom. No dead clicks. Alright, let's bring this back. And let me just dial in 0 on the turret. Now let's check our windage. That's as far right as it'll go. And that's as far left as it'll go. It's pretty modest. That's pretty typical amount of adjustment. Now let me get this to 0 on the turret. And we're right back where we started. So that's pretty good. Let's do a box test. Do a full rotation on our elevation. Full rotation on our windage. Back down on our elevation. Oops, sorry, went too far. There, 0. And now that, there, 0. Now let's take this down to 50 yards and take a look at those targets in greater detail. We are at 50 yards now, and we're looking at our same reference targets at 1 power. And let me bring this up to its maximum of 8 power, and we'll take a closer look at those reference targets. Really nice and sharp and bright. A little bit of purple fringe I'm seeing in the target frames on either edge of our scope view, but the center is really sharp. Good color rendition in the color reference chart on the top left, and fine detail. I can make out 2 .22 caliber holes on the below the reactive sticker target on the bottom left. And in our Air Force resolution chart on the bottom right, I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines down to element 3 and group -1. And with my naked eye, I dare say, down to element 4. So that's really sharp. I'd like to thank Discovery Optics for sending out the EDAR for me to test, and I am impressed, frankly surprised by how good this budget optic is. And by budget, they're telling me this is going to have a street price of about $220, which is crazy affordable for an LPVO with this build quality and feature sets. Namely, the parallax focus, which is unheard of in any LPVO under $2,000. So yeah. And optically, clarity, sharpness, I'd put this up against a Tango 6T, which I've reviewed recently, so it's fresh in my mind. And I'll include a link to that video in this video's description. But I am in no way claiming this is as good as a Tango 6T, which has a better eye box and is a combat-tested optic. This is not used by any military that I'm aware of, but it does have a lifetime warranty. And I've put over 100 rounds through this, so it's held 0. But I'm willing to do an even more extreme test with this. If I get enough likes and comments on this video, I'm willing to do a drop test with this. Drop it and see if it'll actually still hold 0 after that, which is a test I wasn't even willing to do with the Tango 6T. So yeah. Now, it's not without its faults. Now at 8 power, it's got an excellent reticle with a mill Christmas tree, but when you crank that down to 1 power, where most of us live with an LPVO, that reticle shrinks down and becomes, well, easily lost in a cluttered background, you know, like in brush or woods. Well, more premium optics get around that by having a nuclear red dot bright reticle. This is only typical bright for an LPVO, you know, for CQB or low light. Now, Discovery Optics could get around that by simply making the T reticle on this a little bit thicker, which I would suggest they do. Also, I would suggest don't include rings with this. Put a cantilever mount, which you really need in an AR because, you know, the rail space on the top receiver really isn't that big. So yeah, I would suggest they put a cantilever mount on this. And if you're interested in picking up one of these, I'll include product links as well as any coupon codes and more information about this in my full write-up at moondogindustries.com. Use the affiliate links there to help support this channel. I get a small commission. And of course, you can always just help me out by hitting that like button and subscribing to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. It just takes a second and it's absolutely free to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And I'm also going to give you an opportunity to win one of these. Actually, Discovery Optics is. They're letting me pick a viewer to win one of these. To qualify, all you need to do is subscribe to my new travel channel, Moondog Go, or follow me on X at Moondog Reviews, and send me a screenshot to prove that you have. Complete rules and details are on my website at moondogindustries.com/contest. You can find an upload link there. The deadline to upload is September 30th. So good luck on that, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. You be safe out there. Moondog out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.